Welcome to the Dennis Postema Show. I'm your host, Dennis Postema, and today we have a very special guest, Elisha Covey. Elisha, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. And let's start off with, tell me a little bit about what you got going on and tell me about your show and your podcast and what's going on with that.
Yeah, so I have a show called The Girlfriend Show. Basically, it's just me and my girlfriends, and we talk about everything men, money, and mission. So if you somehow fall into one of those three, we're talking about you. It's a lot of fun. I feel like there's a lot of business shows out there that are geared towards business. You know, we saw a bunch of successful men do it, and then women kind of followed after that. But for me, I feel like women are so multifaceted. I wanted to create a show where we could show off and hone all of those facets, not just business, not just motherhood, not just, hey, what are we doing, but really make it feel like this is what girlfriends do when they get together. And that is exactly how the show is. So for guys, it's fun because I think they get to like be a fly on the wall.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly.
What you all do when you're together. It's like, yeah.
We get to watch it, but like it's not technically about exactly us. Usually
Yes.
It's not our name, right? So we're like, oh wow, okay, that's what happens. So
you're like, these bitches are crazy. The conversation is like,
I knew it.
Yeah,
I knew it. Yes.
We have more than one going on at a time. It's like sometimes when I text with my girlfriends, I'm like, we really have 3 conversations going on in one strand. I don't think guys ever do shit like that. I've never seen my husband do that. But
yeah, we probably get lost at some point. You know what I mean? We'd be like, wait, what?
Wait, what was that answer for? It's just like, nah.
I love it. And you know, one thing that ever since I started the television network, my eyes have been open to the amount of powerful women. They're honestly I get yelled at from my team all the time because they're like, you know, eventually we got to get some guys on this network because kudos to the women of the world because they're just crushing it. And my wife and I just had a baby, and seeing what it takes to be a mother, like just seeing from a guy, I don't know, obviously, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's not enough respect you can give. So I'm bowing out. So as far as that goes, so
as long as you're not bowing out on the chores, you're good, man.
Right. Yes, exactly. Yes. Very true. Very true. So I definitely don't. I have my list, and I'm trash day. I do not bow out on the chores. So I promise you that. So, and I can change a diaper just like the best of them.
Good to know. So do you guys have a boy or a girl?
Girl.
A girl. Okay. Do you have any other children or just this one?
No, just this one. So I actually had a lot of surgeries and we had to do IVF. And so actually all I have waiting for me is ladies. So
so you
so I have, so I'm learning right now. So I'm just learning. I'm keeping my ears to the stone here and listening, and I'm just learning. So I have 8 other ladies potentially in my life if I wanted them. All 8. So that's
a lot, man.
I don't think I can handle that much stress, or I don't think I can earn that much money either. So I really don't. And I'm only one guy, so I'd have to expand my team a lot more.
You can do it. You can do anything you put your mind to.
That's true. That's true. You know, I'll just put that all in the business plan, like 5 to 10 more team members per child that I have. And then
and as soon as they grow up, you can start, that's free labor, you know, so you can start incorporating them and they'll run your business for you.
That was always part of the plan. 100%. I am not, although I will tell you, my daughter, probably she was 5 months old. But I was wearing a company logo and she was sitting on my lap and she was going like that. And I'm like, whoa, don't knock me off yet.
She's like, all right, Dad.
Okay, we're ready. Yeah, I'm like, you're going to be CEO. You don't have to get rid of me now.
I promise you're going to have it either way.
Yeah. What are you taking it over for already? So, anyway, I definitely appreciate, by all means, what's going on in the world and where we're going for that. So tell me a little bit about what success looks like for you.
Yeah, that took me a really long time to figure out, actually, because I've been an entrepreneur for almost 12 years. And I never had a clear, okay, this is what success will look like for me, because every time I would set a goal, I would achieve it, and then I would feel empty. I'm like, okay, so I achieved it, and now what? And that started to get really old.
Yeah.
And I had to go on like a personal growth journey of what is it that's really going to make Elisha feel fulfilled. And at the end of that 18 months and $100,000, I realized that, okay, I was making it way harder than it needed to be. And really for me, it's just two things. It's freedom and enlightenment. So when I'm on my deathbed, what I'm hoping for is that I can look back and say, you know what, I was enlightened as best as I could be. And to me, that's just growing and learning constantly. And then freedom, I want to be free to be able to do what I want, when I want, where I want, with who I want, as many times as I want. So that's like an ultimate goal, right? It's a big one. But that's what I work towards.
How did you come about that? Because I've 100% as an entrepreneur, I felt that, and I know that plenty of entrepreneurs, the people I coach, I know have felt that too. How did you come up? Because we all run into that. Okay, yeah, I'm going to hit this goal. And then we get there and then we're like, oh, shoot. So how did you come about figuring that out? Or did it just come to you after 18 months?
Well, like I said, 18 months and $100,000.
Yeah.
Investing in coaches. I mean, whenever I have an issue or an area that I see needs to be honed, I look for the person that I can find that does it best. And then I just dig deep with them. And so I actually got she calls herself a love coach, but like, I was like, okay, I guess I need to figure out how to love me, because no one ever taught me. And so the only way that I felt valued was if I produced, and I'm a great producer. It's just like, oh yeah, I can produce with my eyes closed. But at the end of that is what? So you produced. That's not your purpose here as a human. It's a great thing to do, and it makes you money, and it, you know, helps you achieve things. But in the end, you have to love yourself.
Yeah, that's very well put. That's tell me a little bit about, like, when did you come about? So I've always been a huge fan. Like, I was fortunate enough when I was very young to have mentors, and even in business at 20 years old, I got a mentor, and I was very fortunate, and I've had coaches over the years, and I've admired all of like the learning process with that. When did you come about that? Because I think that's a topic that a lot of people get and a lot of people don't get. As far as, it's like people think, oh, well, I'm paying for a coach, and or I got this, I don't need a mentor, I can do it all on my own, which you're going to pay one way or the other, either through time or
dummy tax. Like, whichever one you want to do.
Yeah.
I really don't like banging my head into a wall. And especially now that I'm getting old and I have to pay for Botox, I'm like, can we please just like, let's try to leave it as nice as we can. No more head banging for Elisha.
I love it.
Yeah, so I think that that's an interesting topic. And I think that, and maybe it's changed a little bit now. For my generation, I feel like men understood the need to have a coach much better than women did, because you guys have been put in sports your entire life. It's like the second you're old enough to run and walk, it's football, soccer, basketball, hockey. You know, what do you enjoy? And part of that comes with a built-in coach, and you don't even realize it. You're being coached constantly. And so for you guys, it's not a far stretch to say, oh, well, I need a coach in something I'm not good at, because you've been doing it your whole life. Whereas for women, or at least in my generation, and I know there are some that had coaches and stuff, but it wasn't, we were more like home, learning to cook, you know, with our mom, with our girlfriends, that kind of thing. And so whenever we had to figure something out, if our mom couldn't help us, then we just had to figure it out, right? And so I think that's what happened with me. I wasn't aware that there is a resource out there. And to me, the difference between a coach and a mentor is mentors are there to guide you in an overall view and point out like, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? A coach is there to guide you in a specific area. So like you have a football coach, you have a basketball coach. A mentor is someone who oversees your whole life. So they're going to look at all the aspects, and usually coaches you pay, and mentors are someone that you engage in some other format. Maybe, you know, it's an older person that you met that you admire the way that they've lived, but that's how I separate it in my mind.
That's actually the best definition I've ever heard. So that works out really well, because that's very good. That's going to help me in the future. So that's a good way of looking at it, is overall.
So when people ask me that, like, oh, will you mentor me? I really think about, like, do I want to know this person's life? Do I want to take on the responsibility of being the person to point stuff out to them? Are they coachable? Do they learn? Or are they headbangers? Because if they're headbangers, like, they're just going to annoy the shit out of me. So it's like, Are you willing to put in the effort? Because if you're willing to put in the effort, I'm willing to be your mirror.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a lot different when they're teachable and they're willing to listen. That's one of the things that my original mentor told me. He goes, well, if you're willing to shut up and listen, you'll be able to do this. And I'm like, well, I was 20. So I was like, okay, sounds like a good plan, right? Yeah. And thank God I did. And thank God I was 20, because I see people now that, like, when they want mentorship or they want coaching, like they just, they in their mind, they have it mostly figured out. And they're not, what's that?
I think they do.
That's exactly the problem. And it's like, how do you attack that? I mean, it was giving us good advice so far. How do you attack when somebody thinks that they already have it figured out? Because I deal with that all the time with people who want coached and or people who want mentored, or even people that work for me. They feel like they've got it figured out. And I think that's probably the most frustrating thing second most frustrating thing, but the most frustrating thing that I run into is trying to get them to realize, okay, look, if you knew how to do it, you probably already would have been accomplishing that, right? So what's your advice there?
So I'm really blunt.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it fucking is. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, so first of all, I look for that before I accept someone as a mentee or someone for me to coach.
Gotcha.
I look for their coachability, because I'm not, if you don't understand that you don't know what you don't know, then we're going to have an issue. Yeah. And so to me, that also tells me that you're unaware of what you actually need. So what I'm looking for is for people that understand where they're lacking. Okay, I am making $100,000 a year and I want to make $1 million. Okay, that's great. Perfect. Yeah. Because I've already made millions. So I can definitely help you with a path to that. And that's something that I tell people too. Stop hiring coaches that haven't done what you want to do. Like, that's fucking insane. I'm like, this 22-year-old who's a life coach, are you shitting me?
Yeah.
Life coach to who? He or she might be the sweetest person in the world, but it's like, the only person that you could possibly life coach would be teenagers. Yeah. Because you haven't lived life yet. So I think that that's a big mistake that people make, is they don't vet their coaches. Has your coach or mentor done the things that you're wanting to do? If not, then they're not a good match. But as far as bringing people in, I really don't run into that often, because I listen to what they say. I'm listening for the blame, the shame, the lack of accountability in our one-on-one call. And if I hear that, I'm just like, kindly, I don't think we're a good match, because I'm not going to beat my head into a wall. Yeah. Not worth it.
The biggest blessing is being able to choose who's your client and who's not. That's one of the things that I always admired originally when I saw back to my mentor, when I saw him to be able to choose that. I was like, that's one of the biggest blessings, is I saw him say, look, these are the areas I cover. Yeah. If we're not a match, then that's okay. Give me a call if you need me. If not, thank you.
And a good coach will do that. And so coaching was never a thing that I was like, oh my God, I want to be a coach. It's like, I did all of these things and then people started asking me to coach them. Yep. And so, but I think that is a good coach, someone who can tell you, hey, this is my forte. And then anything outside of that, I have contacts that I can share with you. So I'm always willing to connect people, but I'm not going to lead you in something I don't know. If you want to be a famous rock star, like, good fucking luck with me. I don't know what to tell you. I can probably come up with some good ideas because I'm a problem solver. Yeah. But my first good idea would be to find a rock star coach. Yeah. Yeah. And that's also from experience of entrepreneurship, of all those years of experience. That's, yeah, I do appreciate that our industry is at least getting to that point where people recognize how important it is to have somebody who's actually went through the process and done it. There for a while, I don't know how many years ago it was, there was, like you said, X number of coaches out there that, wait a minute, what have you done? It's scary. And it's just like, I mean, anybody can be a coach, that's fine. And as long as you know what you're talking about and have done it, then that's great. I mean, teenagers need coaches too. Yeah. But it's like, it's when you don't know what you're talking about and you're just going to test it out on this person. It's like, ooh, I don't know about that. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's well put. Yeah. I like that. So tell me what your biggest goal is. Mine, I told you my two. I'm looking to achieve those, man. I want to be enlightened and I want to be free as fuck. That's it. All right. Well, that's
I feel like you probably are pretty close to it though, are you not?
I mean, I feel like financial freedom is, different for everyone. But I said I
Sure.
want to be able to do what I want, when I want, where I want, as many times as I want, with whomever I want.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
until I can like call up Elon Musk and be like, "Hey man, let's go to Mars," then I
Yeah,
have to.
fair enough. Then you got a little to strive for. That's good. So, um, what are some of the things you do? Because obviously, I feel like you don't have a problem in this area, but what are some of the things that you do daily to stay confident?
Yeah, I think confidence comes from doing and achieving. So to me, if you are lacking confidence, it's because you're not keeping your word to yourself.
Hmm.
So when you say, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to work out every day, or I'm going to, eat healthier, or I'm going to, whatever it is, when you break those promises to yourself, you break your core confidence.
Yeah.
And no one can build that confidence for you except you. So the promises that I make to myself are just as important as the promises that I make to my children or my husband. And I'll keep those promises. So I'm also very aware of the promises that I make to myself.
Yeah.
And that being said, I think that there's a huge difference between the way that men and women can run their lives most effectively. So in the beginning, obviously I'm old. So most of the people that I got information from were men, successful men. And I'm so grateful for that. I've had so many amazing men in my life who were just willing to give me information just for free, just pass it on. And originally what I would do is I would take that information that they would give me, their morning routines, the way that they handle their staff, all of these things, I would take it, that block of knowledge, and then plug and play. And then what I realized after about a decade of doing that is I was turning into a man. And my husband let me know kindly that he was not gay. And so I was just like, oh, fuck, I better learn how to be a girl because what I'm turning into is a woman who acts just like a man. And
Gotcha.
what that doesn't give me room for is to embrace my femininity, which some of my biggest superpowers are feminine. And so
Right.
I had to step back and realize that, what, this might be a man's morning routine, but there has to be more room for flexibility and flow in a woman's morning routine because you guys only have one cycle that you're on. It's 24 hours. We're on a 24-hour cycle with you, plus we're also on a 28-day cycle. And in those days, things behave differently. And so until I was willing to really put in the effort to understand the cycles that my body is on, I wasn't able to maximize those for best use. So my routine fluctuates during the month, if that's the long way to get around.
Yeah, that's really that's very interesting because that's a good point because even with nutrition and things like that we talk about a lot. What have you found works best for a woman versus when you were going like using a man's routine? What have you found that's worked best for you that you would suggest to women out there to make sure that they don't turn into a man's routine because there's a lot of that coaching is put into one place and that, like you said,
Not the same.
it is not the same. Yeah.
So I think I competed in fitness competitions. So I competed in bikini just to see if I could do it. I was just like, I've had 2 kids, 2 C-sections, like, let's see if I can. And with that comes a lot of dedication to, your physical appearance. So working out, eating correctly, understanding your macros, what you put in, because your body is science. So it's just like, it's super fucking cool if you take the time to get to understand it. But some key differences that I think looking back, I would have adjusted sooner are men do really, really well with a very regimented routine because the only cycle you're on is 24 hours a day. When you wake up, you're ready to get that workout in. You're ready to get straight to business. You're ready to do those things. Whereas for a woman, depending on where I am in my cycle, that really affects what type of workouts I should be doing. So for instance, the week before my period, my metabolism is actually amped up. I burn on average 270 to 300 calories more a day doing the exact same thing. So what I used to do was starve myself. I would tell myself, it's in my head. I'm not really hungry. It's in my head. This is ridiculous. I'm eating the same macros that I always do. And then I'd be a huge bitch, of course. But I would get through it and everybody would mostly live.
Very few casualties.
Yeah, I mean, my husband survived all of it. But what I realized is, and then after your period, I started noticing like, I'm never hungry the week after my period. I don't feel hungry. And so I wouldn't eat as much. And I'm like, I'm crazy. And then I found this book called In the Flow, and it literally breaks down the science behind all of these things. So everything I was noticing, it's actually real. So your body kicks up its metabolism as it's preparing for your period. And then after your period, it lowers it so that your body can go back to stabilizing. And the week after your period, I call it social lubricant. You probably noticed after your wife is done with her period, she's happy as fuck. It's like all you have to do is blow her a kiss and she's like, let's go. But so that 7-ish days after your period, you're super, it's true. You're like super happy, you're outgoing, you're connective, everything is, moving so easily and simply. That's when you're super creative. Those are the times that you need to be doing those types of projects and connecting with people. And then the week before your period, everybody calls it PMS and they're like, oh, you turn into a bitch and this and that. It's like, no, actually what your hormones are doing is making you be more like a man. Because your hormones are dropping so that you're going to have your period because you're not pregnant, you're more analytical. You're more easily able to decipher, is this good? Is this bad? How do I problem solve this? And it makes us appear to be more bitchy in comparison to the first week, right? Because the first week, it's like social fucking lubricant. We're happy, we're excited, we love everyone. But that week, that's the time when we're supposed to be pulling our energy in and really evaluating the things that have happened this month. What are we going to change for next month? Because our analytical mind is super hyped up. And it's like, no one tells you this. And then people just assign like she's being bitchy or she's being this or that. And it's like, well, if we actually understood the science behind what our bodies are doing, we could maximize on those times. And that's what I do.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, amazing. That's tell me, first of all, from a woman's perspective, what do you suggest a woman does that week before and to help that process go smoother? Yeah. What do you suggest for that?
Yeah. So first of all, read that book, In the Flow by Elisha Covey. She's fucking phenomenal. Like
sounds like it.
The shit in that book is unreal. And it's like, I think every woman who reads it, as they read it, they're like, I knew it. I knew it. I'm not crazy. Like, I knew I was sensing these things. I knew I was feeling these things. I just didn't understand the logic behind that rhythm that we're on because nobody teaches it. It's really kind of sad. It's like, wait a minute, we're in the 21st century and we're not teaching women how to work with this cycle that they're on. We're just like, oh, fucking medicate her because she's crazy. And it's like, no. We are this way for a reason. So what I would recommend that week before your period is to really be thoughtful about what you do. Your body is gearing up to do something huge. It needs more support. It needs more food. It needs to be like a little bit more chill in the gym. So if you go to the gym and you do HIIT and you do like really intense cardio during that week, your body, because of the way that your hormones are, actually puts you into starvation mode. So those women that always bitch they can never lose that last 5 pounds, that's why they're putting in extra work and their body is literally like, fuck you. So that week before your period, you should just be lifting heavy. Everything should be slow, concentrated, heavy weight lifting, no fucking cardio. And then the next week after your period, go ape shit if you want to. But your body is, when you do that to your body, then it holds on because it thinks like you're trying to starve me and I need my energy. And then my metabolism is already kicked up. So if you're not compensating for that, your body just goes into starvation mode and saves everything. And then you can't understand. You're like, I'm so consistent, just like a man. And yet I have all this cellulite. And it's like, yeah, because we're not just like y'all.
Yeah, that's so. First of all, you're right. They should be teaching that in 8th grade. Like that should be in health class.
Would be much happier because we would be much happier.
Yeah. I mean, why? We should start like a petition for that. So
wait a second. Can we teach people how to balance their checkbooks and about their hormones in their bodies?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Let's just do some common sense things that we've decided to skip through the entire time. Yeah, exactly. So what would you suggest for a man to do differently first of all, obviously now me being 40 and just hearing this, we need to be educated because, that for me, that's extremely enlightening. I feel like almost not going home and telling my wife that we did this podcast and then just feeling like
just start acting.
I learned a lot. Sweetie, hey, I want you to know, I want to feel like I just I wanted you to know I picked up this book and I read through it and I wanted to give it to you too. But no.
Oh, that would be like the biggest brownie points ever.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. Yeah.
Honey, I highlighted this. I'll actually, I want you to send me one that's already highlighted though. So that I can read through. Yeah.
And I don't do that. I gave away one book one time because the guy said he would give it back to me. And he, of course, never fucking did. And I was so butthurt about it. My husband was like, buy another copy. And I'm like, it's not about that. It's about the highlights and the notes. And he was just like, never give a book away again. Okay. And I'm like, I got it.
I get that. You know what I do, by the way, I buy so what happens is I find a good book and I like buy 3 of them. Yeah. And I tell people, you want one? Here's your book. You can copy what I highlighted. You can copy my earmarks. Like, I'm serious. Same thing, same experience happened to me. I'm like, you can copy it. That is not leaving my conference room.
Yeah, that is exactly how I am. Like, all of my books still have all of my notes in them. And I'm just like, no, nobody touches them.
I get it. I 100%. So when I write a book, just so you know, I do a workbook to go with it because like I love highlighting and everything. And I get really pissed off when I forget about something. Yeah. So like I have a workbook and I do it as obviously I do it for myself. And that really helps a lot of people for doing that. So side note. But back to getting to what do we need to do as guys to make sure that we're more aware of this and we're more conscious?
Yeah, I think that something that Charles has adopted and has been really, really nice for me is that when he wants to go out and do things with other people, he's very conscious of, is it the first half of my cycle or is it the second half? And especially if he needs me to connect with them, because as women, I'm not saying men aren't connective and don't have high EQ, but women are naturally gifted in connection, right? Sure. So if it's my role to connect with people and it's the week before my period, of course I can still do it. And of course I can pull it out, but it's not as genuine as the first, right after my period for those first 7 to 10 days when it's like social fucking KY everywhere. It's like everybody's slipping and sliding. It's great and easy. And so, I think that if you just pay attention to that and then realize that week of PMS, your wife is going to be more analytical and she's going to be really thinking about what are the problems that I'm seeing? What do I need to prepare for? And how do I work through those? So if you have problem solving that needs to be done, that's a perfect time to bring it to her because her brain is just already in that. Now, don't be a dick and just like slap it on her desk. Hey, I know you're PMSing. Here's one more thing, but kindly, hey, babe, you want to go on a date? And I need some help with this. Yeah, she might really appreciate that because it's calmer and it's thoughtful. And the time is there for that. Whereas in the beginning of the month, you're just excited, and she might be like more energetic and more connective, and she might not want to really focus on a problem. She'd rather be more creative.
Wow, I'm getting schooled today. I love it. So I appreciate it. I really do. So let's see. Anything else that you want to really share on the podcast that we didn't go over? I do have one other question I want to hit on, but anything else that you want to hit on that we haven't really went over?
No, that I love guys. I'm like, I love you guys. Y'all are fucking awesome. It's so funny though, because my podcast is called The Girlfriend Show. Like that doesn't give it away that it's about girl shit. Yeah. But guys will get so angry. They're like, what about the 4 hours a day of work I do that's unpaid? And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't say anything about you.
It is not about you, right?
It's not about, we love you guys. Like this is about women. And so if you'll just be flexible and open to listening and hearing, I think that's for all of us though. Can we just listen and can we just connect instead of taking things so personally?
Absolutely. I agree. We all need to be empowered and move forward and really grow as individuals and, at both sexes do. And I don't worry. I already talked to your husband. We're going to start the boyfriend show.
Oh, I think that would be fucking phenomenal. Except I know what y'all would talk about because I talk with guys too.
Yeah, we get kicked off really fast, but
no, I think it would be great.
Yeah. Well, hey, tell them I'm looking for it. So, what would you tell one sentence if you could tell yourself one sentence, your 20-year-old self, what would it be?
Lighten the fuck up. It's just not that serious.
Yeah. I like it.
I would have way less gray hairs now if I wouldn't have taken everything so seriously.
Yeah.
None of us are getting out of here alive.
That's very true.
Dying since you were born.
Yes. Yep. Slowly, one day at a time.
Yep. Yeah. Enjoy it.
Yeah. What do you tell people who need to de-stress? How do they, what do you suggest?
I really think stress comes from not knowing and loving yourself. And so for me, that was like, I used to say things like, I'm so fucking busy. Like my schedule is ridiculous. I don't have any time. I don't this and that. And since I've learned to love myself and accept myself, instead of I'm so busy, it's like, wow, look at all the opportunities I have. And I get to select which ones I want to do. That's pretty fucking awesome. And then I don't let the others stress me out because I'm content and happy with me. And I know that everything is working for me, not against me. So I think that there's definitely, involvement of a higher power of some kind, whether it's God or Jesus, Muhammad, I don't care. I call it the universe half the time, God half the time. I'm like, hey, whatever you are up there, you know what you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I call you.
I'm sure you got it figured out, right? Yeah.
Hopefully you do. And if not, we're fucked anyway.
Following your lead. So
Yeah. So I think it's that. I think it's realizing that, everything is not so serious. That doesn't mean don't perform in excellence. I have a very high standard of excellence, but I also understand that if I did the best that I could with what I had, then that was excellent.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you for selecting our time with us to be on the show today. So I appreciate that. It. And so tell me, how can everybody get a hold of you?
Yeah, so Instagram, it's just Elisha Covey, with an E. It's spelled weird. My mom let my brother name me, and he picked Elisha from the Bible, the boy, and she kept it. And I was like, thanks, lady. And it's kind of funny, but not funny. So yeah, just Elisha Covey. It's also the same on TikTok and everywhere else. So pretty easy to find.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I look forward to working with you more, hopefully with all sorts of other things and getting you on the magazine. So thank you very much. And we appreciate you being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks.